Hello everyone, this is Allison at Kung Fu Canine. I was asked to do a video on how to put on the transition leash that goes around the nose and around the back of the head. I was asked to do this very last minute, so I've been out in the hot sun all day. I am not wearing work appropriate attire. My house is a mess. So bear with me here, and here's a little instruction on how to do it. With us here today we have Harley. This is my little service dog in training, and I'm going to be using her to demonstrate how to put the transition leash on. Sit down. And while you're doing the training, you aren't to a point where you're talking to your dogs and giving commands yet. My dogs have been trained past that, so they do use commands. So try not to get confused if I'm telling my dogs to sit, things like that. With you, you're just going to use the press and release, whether it's on their collar or once you get the leash on them, they'll use that. Okay, so to get started, I'm going to get you familiar with our leash. Okay, my leash has a little knot in it for when I put carabiners on it. Harley, come here. Come here, silly. So we have our leash here. You've got your handle, my little knot that I put my carabiners on for hooking it to my belt, and we've got our little stopper, and here's the business end. Okay, this can be a little bit confusing when you first pick it up and it's just a big jumbled mess. I also want to say that this leash was originally created by Canine Lifeline. They have a transitional leash called the Canine Lifeline Transitional. It's a little bit more user-friendly. When we start working on ours, we're going to make a big slip lead, and with theirs, there's a little metal clasp that kind of goes here so that you don't have to do the figure eight. It just goes over the nose, and you kind of slide it through that little metal clasp. So if you're really struggling with the leash that I provided you with your training, you're more than welcome to go to their website. I'll post a link, and you can go to their website and order one of those if you would like. So when we get here, this gets kind of confusing. The first step that I always recommend that people do is they unclasp the safety line. The safety line, when we start working with the dog outside, that will be hooked onto their collar. Most of the time, however, when I give you the leash, it is hooked onto the back loop. The reason for that is in the beginning stages when the dog is learning, they're going to go through fight, flight, avoidance, and acceptance. And if there's random things dangling or hooked to their collar, that's just one extra thing that they can get their paws stuck in, or that's going to annoy them and cause them to fight more. So I usually hook it up to the back here just to get it out of the way so it's a little less distracting. Okay? But if you're getting confused by that, I want you to unhook it. That way you can kind of see what we're dealing with. Now you'll see right up here these two different rings. This ring that's hooked to the safety line, we don't need that. So don't touch this part for now. Now right here you can see where this ring is, you can create a little loop by separating that. Okay, and I want to make a fairly large loop. I don't know if you can see her very well with her black face. Maybe I'll switch around and let her have the lighting so you can see her dark face. So you're going to make this nice large slip leash, and that's going to go over the head. To make this easier, I keep all of the rings and the black part together in one hand. And that hand is going to stay on the back of the neck. That way I can make sure it stays here. This little black tab, if it's not on the back of the neck, if it ends up under the chin, the dog can just back right out of the tool. Okay? So I'm going to make a nice big slip leash, and I even sometimes like to stick my hand under the collar here so that I have a little bit of control. If the dog's squirming and wiggling and being crazy, I can just pull up on the collar, get him to calm down, and give him a second to think about it before we move on. Okay. So I've got the leash up here. I'm going to do a figure eight under the nose. If you can see this, figure eight, and then over the nose. Okay. Now the important part is when you're going to cinch this up, I'm going to pull it by the slack, the part that your hand would normally hold when you're walking your leash. And to prevent any kind of rope burn across the bridge of the nose, I'm also going to use this hand to slowly pick it up and move it to where it needs to sit so that there's no rubbing of the nose. It just is very polite. If there's a lot of rubbing and manhandling and jostling, the dog will learn to hate it. And as you can see, Harley loves this. This is a very calm activity for her because I'm always very gentle. If she struggles, I stop what I'm doing, apply pressure with her collar, and get her to calm down so that she doesn't think this is a game of keep away. This is just something you hold still for. Okay? So we got that cinched to where it needs to go. I'm going to take my little black clasp and slide it down. Okay. Now, I don't want this so tight that the dog doesn't get any release of pressure, because the whole point of the training is to be able to release pressure. So to know if it's tight enough, for one, this should be sitting right below the eyes on the bridge of the nose, and it shouldn't be able to slide all the way down the nose. Like if it's just sitting there, you shouldn't see it moving around. I can move it myself. It shouldn't just fall off, okay? Also, when it's loose, there should be no slack between, I don't know if you can see, she's a black dog, it's kind of hard to tell. But there should be no slack between this black cinch and the ring when it's sitting relaxed, okay? When I pull up though, when I'm applying my pressure, there should be about an inch between the stopper and the metal ring, okay? Now, if you're going to be going outside and you've gotten to that point in your training, which you shouldn't have if you don't know how to put your head halter on, but maybe you just forgot, or you're someone who's new and the dog already knows how to do this, this little safety line can either hook to the collar. In case the head halter comes off, you now have a secondary leash on the dog. Or if you're just working around the house and don't need this, hook it to the ring that's on the back of the neck. That just keeps it from dangling. It's out of her face. She doesn't know it's there, and you can kind of slide that back. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any other suggestions of things that you would like me to talk about and help you with, that you have come across during the training program that you need a little extra explanation on, please just comment below. Let me know what things you would like me to teach about, and I can definitely add more videos to our page.